Hello, everyone, and welcome to another exciting episode of The Aftermath. This is it. My name is Ian, and as always, I'm joined by Dylan.
Yeah.
This has been a long time in the making.
Mm-hmm.
We are now at the conclusion of Tengen Toppa, Gurren Lagann.
We done did it.
We done did it, and it's... I remember that once upon a time we talked about doing this.
Mm-hmm.
And over the past couple episodes, I've kind of alluded to the fact we didn't know how we were going to divvy up this show,
right,
and how we are going to do it justice on this show,
right,
of ours.
It's hard.
It's hard.
Yeah.
There's a lot, and
so much.
As we've already experienced, and as Dylan has experienced, there's a lot of emotions I have about this show because it's a very emotionally heavy show.
Yes, it is.
And I wanted to do it justice, but never quite knew
it has to be
exactly
perfect.
But I remember that once upon a time, whenever I first thought of the idea of this, I think it was after either you and I watched the movie or after you and Ethan finished the show and were like hyping it up and talking about it a whole lot.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not sure which one came first or which one sparked this idea in my head.
Yeah.
But regardless of whichever one that it was that sparked this idea in my head of us doing Gurren Lagann on this show, I wrote down a note in my phone.
Did you?
I did.
An ancient text.
An ancient text from long ago.
One of the commandments.
Yeah, and so I just wanted to, I found it because I didn't delete it, and the note was basically like, how many episodes are there? How do we want to divvy it up? And I think,
there's no way it's the same order.
No.
Okay.
It's not.
I
It's not.
was about to say.
It's a little different.
Mm-hmm.
But what I was curious, and I'm actually, I just want, I'm going to look back throughout the archive because
see what's what.
Yeah, see what's what. Because we are on episode 269. Nice. Of this
Absolutely insane.
of this show, which is crazy to think about in and of itself.
Yeah.
But this note, I thought about divvying it up into 4 parts, and I thought about like separating it into like more episodes and certain portions. The note itself doesn't really mean anything because it didn't actually end up becoming into anything.
Right.
The big thing that I wanted to talk about is that it was last edited August, which it is May right now.
Yeah. Almost August.
Yeah, it is August 16th of 2022. Is how long ago?
God.
So this is approaching
Almost 3
years ago that I've been considering doing this, and I just want people to know that, and just to put things into perspective, August of 2022 would have been episode 123, 124, which was Hunchback of Notre Dame and Treasure Planet, respectively, for this show.
Wow.
Which is crazy. We had
Jesus.
that little Disney run.
What a fucking departure that would have been.
And shortly after that, we also did Fooly Cooley directly after this as well. So anyways, what I'm saying is that like the fact that like not only has it been almost 3 years ago, which is crazy enough, but again, with us being at 269 and the time in which I wrote that note, we were at 120-ish or so.
Yeah.
It's crazy to think that it's been over 140 episodes.
More than double.
Since
God.
we talked about doing it. It's time is crazy.
Yeah.
And I thought that was a very interesting little tidbit that I would start this show off with,
Right.
with it being the finale of this conversation that we're about to have
Oh, yes.
for this phenomenal anime that we've watched. So yes, as we have already stated, this has been a very long time in the making.
Oh, yeah.
I have watched the movie with you.
Right.
For
we
those
watched
of you,
the movies God knows how long ago.
if
Long
I was
enough for us to forget.
Probably 2 to 3 years ago,
Right.
if I was to imagine. Like I said, whatever, I'm not sure which one sparked the idea to write that note down, and I want to say that it was one of those 2 occasions, either
Right.
whenever you finished it with Ethan or whenever
I
we
can't
watched the
remember
movies.
which one we did first, honestly.
I don't remember either, and it doesn't
Yeah.
matter which came first, the chicken or the egg. So
The Gurren or the Lagann.
Yeah, the Gurren or the Lagann. It has been. I've been really fascinated with this show for a lot of reasons, and if anybody is jumping into this episode, the past 2 episodes are us talking about the episodes that lead into this.
Right.
We've been separating this show into batches of 9 because there is 27 episodes.
Yeah.
So this is part 3 of that. And as we've discussed on previous episodes, we probably should have like delineated more specific breaks in the show that aren't kind of arbitrary like that. But I still think it's fun and I think it's okay.
Yeah, who cares?
Who cares? It's our show. We'll make the decision if we want to.
We'll do whatever we want.
We'll do whatever we want. But yes, this is the beginning that we were going off of. The previous episodes that kind of, as we discussed in the previous episode of this show, episode 17 and 18 are kind of like the new beginning of, like, I would say it's kind of like a season 2.
Yeah.
It's like the time skip by 7 years, and it's kind of like that second chapter. The first boss is defeated, and now it's on to who is the bigger boss.
Right. Where are they now?
Where are they now, kind of thing. And again, because it's separated into 9s, 17 and 18 were the last 2 of that in the beginning of this. So now for today, we jump into episode 19 and then finish out the series through 27.
Yep.
How are you feeling right now,
Dude?
We've done some
I'm feeling like I can do fucking anything.
Oh, dude.
That's the effect this show has on you.
100%.
Like, I feel as though it's almost impossible to come out of this show not feeling like you could take over the fucking world if you wanted to.
Yeah.
Or just do anything.
Correct. I will say, we'll get more. I'll get more in depth into my feelings as we go along. But the most basic thing I can say is that this is an anime masterpiece for so many reasons.
Oh yeah.
But like, I feel like some of the tropes and some of the things that anime are or is,
even if you don't like those,
yes,
they can be overlooked easily,
right?
Because of how like just fucking good,
correct,
the rest of the show is.
They're so
Ethan.
Oh my, yes,
the token. Like I'm not into anime. It's not really my scene.
Yeah.
That motherfucker has said that to me word for word. I don't know how many times.
He said on the show, on the record.
Yes.
Yeah.
You can quote the motherfucker.
Yeah.
And this is his favorite.
Oh yeah.
It's his favorite anime.
Yeah.
Bar none.
And and now having watched the entire show, I remember watching the movies and liking them.
Right.
But there's so much nuance that the show does really well that the point that I'm saying is that even if there is some tropes, even if there is some fan service probably in some aspects,
oh yeah,
all of the like good things that anime is
are so good
are in the show.
Oh yeah.
And it's done well. Even down to some of the tropey stuff in like the quote unquote first season of the show that kind of is a little bit more goofy and
it comes off
lighthearted.
as endearing rather than obnoxious.
Yes. The art style of it's beautiful. The character development is really fun. The fun side characters that do kind of have a last stand and the emotional
Everybody
weight of
gets
that.
their time in the limelight.
Yes. And then of course this larger than life theoretical like crazy
super conflict.
Crazy, and it's also got mecha in it. It's just like it's everything, and it gets bigger and bigger and larger than life, and you know it's just this over the top fun. And like you said, it's hard to leave this without like feeling hyped and I just think when I think of like all of the tropes and the good and the bad of what anime is, it's all inside this show, and it's so well delivered.
Oh yeah,
I have seen other anime that I think is good in certain facets of that, but this is just so ubiquitous of like of all these things it does so well.
It is one of the very few examples of a piece of media that has genuinely inspired me.
Yes.
I couldn't say that about damn near anything else that I've like watched or played.
Yeah.
But this shit right here, it just fucking does it. I don't know how.
Yeah.
It's insane to me. I wouldn't say that about fucking anything because it sounds corny as shit.
Yeah, there's been some media that I've felt that way before that I've gone away from and like been really inspired. This is gonna sound super nerdy, and that's okay. And I wear that on my sleeve. I'm a big Tolkien fan. Lord of the Rings. There were moments in that where I left and I was like, I feel like I can conquer this. I feel like I can go to war right now.
Yeah.
And there's other shows that I think, and this is what I'm talking about, and I've gone on this soapbox before, and I won't do it here on this show. I don't know what the episode is, but if you guys are longtime fans enough, you know
right. Be
what
warned, it's back.
You know what I'm going to say. Art, I think there's no good and bad art. I think art is like it's supposed to like make you feel something. It's supposed to elicit something out of you. If it's doing that, then I think art is doing what it's supposed to do, and you can. Either you like it or you don't, but that is what it is. And so whenever you have things like this, where it's like it really just like inspired you in such a way, and it does such a great job at all these different things, it really is like this is art in its truest form.
Yeah,
not just in the medium that it is, but in all these other things that like really make makes the human experience something special. So anyways.
Highlights the indomitable human spirit.
And I love that, dude. I love that. So anyways, I just wanted to say that off the top, because like I said, I think we've done a good job here.
I hope so.
We've done pretty long episodes.
Yeah.
For both.
Longer than most.
And hey, I think if there was ever a time to kind of break format a little bit and go a little long.
This is a special occasion.
It
deserves every second we give.
100%. It deserves a red carpet to be rolled out.
Right.
And I love that. I still hold on to my drill you gave me.
Good.
And I at first I didn't understand. I'm gonna be real with you. At first, I think we had just watched the movies.
Yeah.
And I think the movies do a good job. But there's something special, like I said, about this show that really, I think, helps get into the nuance of it all.
Yeah.
You gave me that drill, and I've always held on to it, and I still have it.
Yeah.
And I love it. And it's like a trinket that I always hold on to. And I remember thinking at the time, I was like, this is really awesome. I know you always have yours.
Right.
You always wear it.
I always wear it.
Is that
It's so weird.
Yeah.
Because I don't have shit like that. Other than maybe like my red button up that I always wear too.
Yeah.
But that necklace, if I don't have it on, I feel incomplete.
Dude.
Like something is, my day will be like
skewed.
Wrong.
Right.
If I don't have that necklace on.
Yeah.
It's fucking crazy. I've never done that with like anything else.
Right.
Except that fucking necklace.
Right. The necklace he's talking about is in the show. From the very first episode, there is like this like little small golden drill that kind of acts the core drill that acts as like that acts as Simon's key to like accessing his thing, and he wears it around as like a necklace. Dylan has one, and he has given Ethan and myself one as gifts. And the reason why I was bringing this up was I thought I understood the significance of it at the time. But like now, like with so much time being removed and like seeing other aspects of this show, and now having gone through like the whole show in its entirety and really understanding like the emotional depth of some of the aspects of the show and the parts that towards the end here made me tear up, not gonna lie.
Oh, it'll get you.
It got me. And a few, I won't get there. We'll get there. I now I think I understand the weight of that gift now in a whole new way.
It's your soul.
Exactly. And I'm like, oh, that's something special. And I appreciate that. I think a little bit more now than I think I did a few weeks ago. Good. And I love that. And that's so cool. Anyways, like I said, that's a little introduction.
Yeah.
If you haven't listened to the other ones, I would definitely recommend it. Right. But if you have, buckle up, because here we go.
Getting up to the finale.
Dude, Dylan and I had, or I guess, I don't want to rope Dylan into this. I had a bit of a shouting match at Dylan, dude, where I was like,
no. You know why? Because you remember when we used to do this, like either during or after something we had watched, like before we even started the podcast.
100%.
Shit like that was the reason we started the podcast.
Yes. So there was a moment where, the thing that Dylan's talking about is there was so many times where Dylan would show me some piece of media. And I would really want to talk to him about it. Yep. And so there's a lot of times where like after either like more often than not, it was once that media was finished, whether it be a movie or a show or something, after the episode's done, we would end it. And then I would sit there, and then we would have a little yap session back and forth about our feelings on it. It started off with things like Shadow of the Colossus and things like that.
Oh, yeah.
And then others
Just playing through different games.
Yeah, movies and things.
Could have been anything.
Right. And I think that's what sparked the idea of what eventually became this show. And so during this show, I knew that we had a whole bunch more episodes to deal with.
Right.
To tackle tonight. And there were some things that were happening that I was like, I really got to get this off my chest now.
Right.
Before we like really get in the weeds. And it was all having to do with
motherfucking Rossyu.
I don't hate his character. And I think having this yap session with Dylan in betwixt these episodes, I think really helped form my feelings towards certain things. I don't hate him.
Right.
I think towards the end of the last podcast episode, I think people may have been feeling that I was a bit.
Oh yeah. Not too fond.
Exactly. Which again, I think that the show, unpacks it in a way that makes it feel like he may be against Simone.
It's a low point.
Right. And I won't bore you with all the details of that conversation, but just know that my thoughts have changed a little bit. And the joke that I had made was, I think I would have let Simone, I would have let him off the hook and wouldn't have been so upset, because I know it wasn't personal, it wasn't vindictive, but I would have had like a committee of people that would just kind of be at his side to make sure that, like, if and when the time arises where he may have to make a big decision again, he just has a few people to make sure he's not bearing all the weight of the world in his own. Because I feel like the last time that happened, he went
south.
He was going to kill me.
Fucking fast.
He was going to kill Simone, and he was not going to bat an eye at it, which I was like, okay, I think we need to slow down. So, anyways, the first episode we watched was "We Will Survive by Any Means Necessary," and this is the thing I was talking about, where Rossyu overthrows Simone and puts him under arrest.
Right.
But it says, but when the anti-spirals launch their large-scale attack on Communist City, he is left with no option but to let Simone engage the enemy using Gurren Lagann, not before resorting to extremes to put him
absolute
under control. He puts his girlfriend in Gurren with
strapped with 50 million bombs. Just in case.
Just in case he gets a little crazy. And I'm like, buddy,
like, Jesus Christ.
It's that kind of action that makes me think, like, you really got to you got to simmer down.
Right, yeah.
Just
take a step back.
Just take a step back. It's all going to be all right.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's kind of what happens. There's this whole fight that breaks out, and of course they end up succeeding. And the part that it was frustrating me about it all was the fact that, like, Rusty was not, like, communicating, which I know that like I told this to Dylan, shows, TV shows and movies and stuff like that do this on purpose.
Where there's like tension.
Yes.
Add some drama.
There's like a lack of communication between certain parties, which is very real, I will say. But sometimes my suspension of disbelief is it wavers a little bit when it gets a little too far. When we're dealing about some really big things,
super important stuff,
and there's absolutely no communication, like, okay, there's got to be somebody here to keep somebody in check. A lot of times, even in real life, there's someone who goes like, wait a minute, guys, let's chill out. Everybody take a step back. But anyways, so whenever movies do that, sometimes it is nice, but sometimes it also is frustrating. I'm like, I just wish.
Oh, definitely.
A lot of times you can fix.
Yeah.
You can fix the struggles.
They just talk.
Exactly. You can fix the struggles in media with, like, a good conversation,
right?
Or even a conversation that ends up in, like, a little bit of a slap boxing match,
right?
You know, if we get all
speak with our fists.
Exactly. Let's get our emotions out. Let's hit each other a little bit, and then go like, okay, now let's go.
Now I get it.
Right. Now we can move forward. But there doesn't seem to be a lot of that. And the frustrations I was
honestly,
having.
fist fights would be a much more entertaining way to deal with that trope. Because honestly, if you just have a quick conversation, where's the fucking fun?
Of course. And I'm not saying...
Got to spice it up a little.
Right. And I'm not saying that it isn't a good, useful tool.
Right.
I just, there is sometimes, like in this scenario, where I'm just like, we're dealing with, like, the end of the world, the end of the human race.
Right.
And then the potential, like, sacrifice of your friend, colleague, and superior. It's like, okay, whoa. There are priorities and there are things happening. Everyone, hold on. The joke that I was making was the fact that like Rossy tries to calm the people down, gets met with a little bit of opposition in the fact of like a rock against the head, and he's instantly like, we have to go kill Simone. And it's like
snowball effect.
Wait. Okay, so let's slow down. But anyway, and that was the joke that I was making was I feel like Rossy is a good person deep down, and I don't think he was intentionally trying to sabotage or do like any kind of self-interest. But it definitely felt like he was really quick on the draw to be like, kill my friend.
Right. I don't have time.
I don't have time.
The world is ending.
Right. So yeah.
Yeah.
But anyways,
my favorite bit of that was the Rossy encouragement squad.
Dude. I said whenever during that conversation with Dylan, I said I would create some sort, and I couldn't think of the words. So the first thing that came to mind was like some sort of like Rossy task force.
Yeah.
To just like to wrangle him in.
Right.
And Dylan was thinking I was gonna create like a committee,
just a squad,
like a fire squad
with fucking guns, just waiting,
and just in case he
for
slips
a chance.
up.
I'm like, oh my god,
no. I was like, let me clarify. I was like, I wanted to be like
it's a support group.
Yeah, like a committee or like some sort of council meeting where like before he has to like make a really big decision.
Right. Make sure like he doesn't go off on his own.
This group of like 5 to 10 individuals can be like, hey, maybe let's let this simmer for a second before we make this decision right now. He can still have all the power, but like let's just like run this by a few people.
Right. Because I mean, after the interaction that Simone has with him after everything is like fine again, I go to the conclusion that I'm a part of that support group.
Yeah.
It's on me to make sure that he knows he's able to do all this shit with no issue as long as he's able to rely on us too.
Right.
He's not just shouldering everything on his own like a dumbass.
Yeah. And that's what happened. And I think my frustration with that whole situation was the fact that like it felt like Rossy was like intentionally closing people off. And then whenever the weight of
I don't need their help, I can handle this.
Right.
It's like, no, you fucking can't.
Yes. And I think that's the thing is that whenever the weight all came upon him, that was when like these kind of crazy decisions took place. And that was what I jokingly called the Rossy task force. Was this people and I changed the name. I was like, what about the Rossy encouragement team or whatever, like something a little bit more pleasant.
It's hilarious.
It was like just a little something to be like, hey buddy, like just in case you ever feel like you just shoulder the weight of the world again.
You got this.
You got
he says
this.
As I have a gun behind my
back. I wait.
Right. Which
so,
I mean, because like whenever the anti-spiral are like really cracking down on humanity, like wrecking house every which way, he is forced to initially use the 36 I want to say it was 36 like underground shelters.
Oh, I think
like
you're right.
Old villages, quote unquote.
Yeah.
And get everybody like tucked away safe and sound.
Yeah.
But that is before the Lirahan like makes the simulation of how the moon is going to impact the Earth.
Right.
And it's total catastrophe.
Catastrophic.
The planet will not be inhabitable.
And I think that this is really interesting because like I looked at that and for me, I intuitively already thought like, oh, I know that. A moon hitting a planet, like it's going to glass the whole surface. That is
not
what it
a
is.
good situation to be in.
But then like I thought about it and I was like,
They're just now getting into space.
Not only have they been underground their whole lives, they've only been above ground for 7 years, and they're still like I think, the thing that they have the best understanding of, which is still not a lot, is like their gung ho attitude powers their robots.
Yep,
and that's about all they know.
Yeah,
but like, so whenever they were like running those like simulations, I was like, oh, it makes sense that like,
of course they wouldn't know that.
Exactly. Yeah. Of course they wouldn't know what happens if their moon was to hit the. They thought that if they go underground, it was gonna be fine.
Right.
And I love that because it shows their.
It really hammers home like how unprepared they are.
Right. Their ignorance, like not in like a condescending way, but just like they just don't know. They're not knowing.
Right.
And I love that because I think it really flushes out the world a little bit more.
Yeah.
But you're right. So after they realize that, then he's like,
oh shit.
We got to load this ship up.
Right. He finds this ship underground, the capital. Dude, the Ark. Oh my God, man.
Yeah. Oh, it was called the. No, I'm thinking of the one that was in space. The moon one.
The Cathedral Terra.
Yeah,
we'll
dude,
get to that.
Cathedral Terra.
Holy
Oh
fuck.
gosh, what a cool name.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they. In this time too, Simone gets put in prison, and he meets up with Viral again.
Yeah.
And I love Viral.
Viral's so fucking cool.
Viral is so cool. At first, he felt like the what is it? I never actually played it, but like the Shadow of Mordor, like the Nemesis.
Oh yeah,
you beat him up,
this
and he just
bumbling
comes
toady that just keeps popping up.
He comes back later stronger, and you're like, shit, he's my Nemesis, and he'll come back again and again and again. And at first, he really felt like just like a lackey, but now like he's become this kind of like
after what Lord Genome did to him.
Yeah, he's now immortal. And he can like regenerate.
Yeah, pierced through the hand.
Yeah,
and that shit just grows back like nothing happened.
Right. But I love this relationship that really starts to grow between Simone and Viral.
Because Simone at this point has accepted his fate.
Yeah,
like he's
he's
just fine, leaving everything to Rossiu and making sure that like they're fine on their own. But Viral is like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah, who are you?
Are you kidding?
Right.
Right. What happened to you? And so as they just start fighting in these showers, they start having they start exchanging barbs.
Yeah,
like I expected a hell of a lot more from you of all people.
Yeah,
but now you're just another naked ape.
Oh,
like the rest of your little toadies.
Yeah,
and man, it is cutting.
Oh yeah,
and he doesn't take that shit lying down.
No,
he's just
they fight it out.
Right.
There's one of what's the guy's name?
Cetamandra.
Cetamandra like bird guys.
Yeah, his straight up chicken general.
Yeah,
is one of his lieutenants.
His chicken. I can't say that. One of his chicken generals. He ends up like trying to break up the fight, and of course they end up both like punching him.
Oh yeah,
and
at the same time.
Yeah, and everyone's
he's
like
fucking dead.
All the guards are like, "Who started this? Who started this?" Like they did both of them.
Right. Even though it was the chicken.
Of course, yes.
That started attacking Simo.
Yes.
They ganged up on that poor chicken man.
Yeah. So they both get put in prison, and that's when they were having this big, like, this really nice kind of back and forth between, like what's going to happen.
Right.
And, I guess you're being left behind, all that kind of stuff.
Some supreme commander you turned out to be.
Yeah. Some really harsh remarks, but it kind of feels like it's more like poking instead of like it being just like really.
Right. Not necessarily coming from anger rather than disappointment.
Yeah. Exactly. Right. And then we get a really interesting sequence with Yoko.
Oh, dude.
That comes up out of nowhere.
This is my favorite little side story in the whole in one of the whole fucking shows.
Gosh. Yes. I would do anything for Yoko.
It's they already had a flashback of whenever Kamina City was still under construction. They had just about finished the statue of Kamina, and Yoko made the decision to just bounce.
Yep.
Be like, this whole government stuff isn't for me. I'm just going to go to the countryside.
Yep.
Live a quiet life. And she just so happens to go to this remote island.
Yep.
And
this is 1 year earlier. So this little flashback scenes we're having is 1 year earlier from what like the current events are taking place.
Right. She signs up to be a school teacher.
Yeah.
Which is the last fucking thing
well, exactly.
Right. The last thing you'd expect, but also very suited to her.
Yeah.
She's always had a sort of like a big sister vibe to her that would translate well into like a teaching career.
A very maternal aspect.
Right. So
which is why I think I've always thought that she's a fun character, and I've always loved Yoko. But in this moment, I was like,
she's the best.
I'd do anything for Yoko. Damn straight.
Yeah.
So anyways, yeah.
Right. So
bunch of elementary school kids, and she's having
cutest
fun.
little buttons you ever did see.
Love them.
I have said some things about children before.
Of course. That was years ago. Many years ago.
Right.
You have grown as an individual.
Right. I can't say I enjoy misbehaving children.
Of course.
But kids, man.
Yeah. they have an earnestness and a honest way of saying things that
makes me want some of my own.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. They're I have some friends with kids, and they have just a way of like saying things very honestly and bluntly.
Yeah.
In a way,
there's no filter.
Yeah, but it's not so much in like an insulting way for me, but like in a way of like
just an innocent perspective,
an innocent and honest perspective.
I've got 2 nieces.
Oh yeah.
I do anything, absolutely fucking anything for them.
I don't doubt it. So yeah. Anyways, so she's with all these kids, and she's and she's not just like an English teacher or something. She's like their everything teacher.
The only other member of the staff.
Yeah.
Whenever she first gets there, the principal / everything of this school is like, it's fine. It's very refreshing to have some new blood here.
Yeah.
Considering I'm the only person on staff.
Right. He's worn out.
Right.
My man is in a persistent state of having a rag dabbing across his forehead of like, oh shit.
I can't take it. You have no idea how much of a relief this is.
But yes, so she's working as a school teacher, and
does a bang up job.
Great job. And so, this is what I'm talking about with this show. How do I have to get my thoughts and my feelings in order.
Yeah.
This show doesn't pull. This show has fun, but like there are moments when it gets serious, or it gets like it hits home pretty hard. The first time that really happened was whenever Kamina died, where it's like there's a really real moment, and I think they show
whenever Kamina found out his father died.
Oh,
that's one of my favorites.
Yes, and they show some reverence for those moments, and I love that. And then there's this really interesting moment between these 2 kids. I can't remember their names, and I don't think I see them. There is these 2 kids, and they're kind of like out of all the gaggle of kids.
Right. We follow those 2 most consistently, aside from like these 2 little bully characters.
Exactly. There's 2 little bully characters, and there's a young boy and a young girl. And at the beginning, the bullies are kind of taking the bag away from the young boy.
Right.
And they're kind of playing, and he's obviously getting kind of frustrated. And then like that's kind of what kicks off. That's what lays the foundation of what like the dynamic between them. And we're like, okay, we understand what's happening here.
Right.
The girl, I think, kind of is interested in the young boy.
Right. Always offering to help him.
Exactly. And the young boy is kind of infatuated with Yoko for obvious reasons.
Who wouldn't be?
Oh, mama.
You seen her?
So as this progresses and we get like an understanding of like the kids are like, whoa, she's awesome and cool and fun and young, and
they love her.
Love her for obvious reasons.
Right.
There's this tragic scene that takes place where the young boy and his bag that the bullies were taking from him, it is now at the top of this large like evergreen type tree, and it's way up there.
Oh yeah.
And like he is obviously upset. And like the young girl's kind of getting involved, and like the bullies are there, but they don't really defend themselves too much in this aspect.
Right.
But like before anyone else can say anything, the young boy with tears in his eyes and full of emotion, and I mean, you can hear a pin drop in this moment, is like, that was a gift from my dad, who is dead.
Right. It's the only thing I have to remember him by. And
at that moment, everyone's like,
fuck.
All the other kids are like, holy shit.
Yeah.
In fact, the young girl is also like the camera kind of locks in on her.
Yeah. She starts to say, well, I'll get it. And then he's like, fine, I'll get it myself.
Yeah. And so there's this tension of like, where she is beginning to realize the importance of this bag and how much it really means to him in a certain way. And so he ends up climbing up the tree, and of course, everyone's outside going like, "Oh my god!" He's like way up high. He ends up getting the bag and looking down, and like in like the like kind of pan zoom,
the dolly zoom.
Yeah, the dolly zoom. He's like, "Oh shit!" And then of course Yoko, being the the badass mother figure she is, just like starts,
immediately jumps
flying up the tree.
Yep.
She ends up sitting up there and like comforting him in this moment. And there's like this beautiful like shot of like the sun and moon across this beautiful
the curvature of the earth.
Yeah, the curvature of the earth. This tree is tall enough.
Is somehow large enough to see.
This tree is 20,000 feet in the air.
Right. Like, damn, I can see my everything from here.
Right. And so there's this beautiful moment where like she shares with him the fact that like I knew a young boy once and we had a view quite like this before, and it was this beautiful scene, and he's like, I hate this island.
Working toward a better tomorrow.
Yeah, he's like, I hate this island, but this view is kind of pretty, I'm not gonna lie. And it's just a beautiful and touching moment.
Yeah.
And then as they go down, things kind of, happen along as usual.
More time passes, and then Yoko catches wind of catastrophe that's now facing the entire planet.
Right.
And is like, what the fuck is going on?
The end of the world.
Right. So as that's happening, everybody's starting to panic. They're starting to evacuate. But not before two rogue gunmen show up on the island and have just now captured one of the kids, the little girl.
They can't find the little girl, and apparently
one of them just knows
the bully,
that whenever something bad happens, she goes up to the lighthouse to cry.
Yeah. One of the bullies was like, she's probably up in the treehouse because whenever things are bad, she goes there and cries. And I was like, damn, wait.
All right, damn.
Don't call her out like that shit.
Yeah.
Let her go feel her feelings up in the lighthouse, dude. Damn.
Right.
But hey, that's the honesty of, of children.
Right.
Anyways, they end up, breaking off the top half of this lighthouse, and they're waving it around, being like, "Hey, if you care about this,
give us all your food."
Yeah, and I love how I think it was even the teacher or somebody was like,
the old man. What is it? What is it? What good is that going to do you? In 3 weeks, the moon's going to fucking destroy everything.
And they're like, "Well, we can
we're wanted men anyway. If we go to a shelter, we're going to get arrested."
Yeah. But anyways, Yoko ends up hopping into action.
Oh yeah, she ain't having none of it.
Nah.
That's one of her kids.
She ends up like hitting a panel on the wall, and it flips over, and like a freaking
the entire armory.
Oh yeah,
just at her disposal once again.
A freaking secret agent freaking gets into costume and gets that shit undone, and it's here we go. It's ready to go.
Absolutely obliterates them with nothing but a hover scooter and her rifle.
In true Yoko fashion.
Needs.
That's all she needs.
Saves the kid midair.
Oh yeah, beautiful.
Yeah.
And then like the real weight of this situation comes in where the young girl starts to like fall apart. And she's like, I'm really good at climbing trees. So I took your bag and I put it at the top of the tree.
Right.
And I was going to blame it on the bullies. And then I was going to offer to get it for you. So that way you would like notice me and like me. And she's like, and I feel like, she didn't say this, but she's like, I feel like shit. For doing that because I didn't I think she says, I didn't realize how much that bag meant to you, and I apologize for that. And I was like, oh, just a little, like a little portion, this little flashback moment, so much emotion.
Yeah, I could watch a whole show about Yoko teaching these kids.
Gosh, it's beautiful, and that whole sequence, like I said, you can tell the bag was important to that kid, but until that moment hit where he like is crying and he, no sugarcoating, nothing. He's like, my dad's dead, and that was the last gift I got from him.
Right, straight up panicking.
You talk about slamming the brakes in a good way of like, there's nothing like hubbub and, all these emotions on fun, woo, woo, woo. But like the second like that happens, stopping your tracks and going, oof.
Oh, shit.
It's the real world. And people are hurt.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's not fun anymore to play with people like that.
Right.
Anyways, so we
nice little side story.
A nice little side story, and then of course that's when we get Yoko coming back around with her new badass jacket.
Right, breaks into the prison.
Hell yeah,
and just straight up frees both Simon and Viral.
Beautiful.
And dude,
I love this.
You got a kick out of this.
Oh my god!
After Nia makes a reappearance, has a quick convo with Simon.
Yeah.
Highlighting again how hopeless their situation is and how humanity won't survive, period.
Yeah.
Yoko is able to intervene.
Yeah.
Call Nia a boring bitch after not seeing her for a year. And then she makes her escape again. So, after she frees Simon, they go over to Viral's cage.
Yes.
Simon says, "Yoko, your gun."
She hands
like
hands
no
him his
hesitation,
pistol.
just like, okay,
Here's the pistol.
And then he immediately just unloads.
Yeah.
Like we don't see what he's shooting. It just looks like he fucking shoots Viral like several times.
From right to left, you have Yoko, you have Simon, and then sitting down, like kind of in the fetal position, sort of against the wall. Leaned up against the wall is Viral, and again, you can tell from the bars that Simon and Yoko are on the other side of the cage or on the other side of the jail because he got released, and Viral is still sitting down inside.
Right.
So whenever he says that, he reaches out his hand. She hands him the gun. He's like, "Your gun, Yoko," and he just like, "Bah bah 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 bah," and dude,
just fucking out of nowhere,
and he ends up blasting off his shackles and all that kind of stuff.
Viral is now free,
but not before I lost my mind because that was like I just thought he had enough,
right?
And he just gonna,
this might not kill you, but it'll feel good.
Yeah. Holy shit, he just killed Viral.
Yeah,
that's what it felt like. But
Jesus.
Anyways,
it was so funny,
dude. It happened so fast. I was like, "Holy shit!" It was such a good, good turn of events, and I love that. But yeah, the members of Gurren launched themselves into space,
right,
to protect the Arc Gurren from the enemy forces. Now accompanied by Viral as the co-pilot of Gurren Lagann, and dude. Oh, I love this so much, especially because of the and this is what I'm talking about.
History.
I love good character development, and I'm not saying that this is probably the best in the world, but even if it's just a little bit, I love the fact that Viral was arch nemesis.
Oh yeah,
to Kamina from the get go.
Shit talker number one.
And in the moment in that swamp where they were whipping each other and talking a bunch of shit up until whenever Viral finally realizes that Simon is now piloting the unit.
Kamina fucking died.
And the kind of the respect for each other I think is fun and great. Up until this kind of banter back and forth where he's kind of like disappointed in him for not being tougher than he thought he was. It's just all of it is all these like little bits that just kind of chip away at Viral's character.
Yep.
And now Simon offers him the ability to pilot Gurren.
And he's like, "What did you say?"
Yeah.
Like he holds such a reverence for this machine because of how badly it beat his ass in the past. Because he's an honor-bound warrior. He respects strength and honor.
Yeah.
Those are his two modus operandi that he lives by. And man, it's so cool to see him really just adapt and get into it as much as everyone else.
I forgot what he said exactly, but he said some things that were like really, really touching in an interesting way where he was like, "Yeah, I can't believe, I think Simon says something like how I wouldn't have it any other way. I wouldn't want anybody else in here with me than you." Like kind of talking about how good he is as a pilot. I think is what he was saying. Yeah. It was something along the lines of like, "I need somebody in here with me, and I wouldn't have anybody else but you."
Right.
It's like it's the both sides of the coin.
Right.
Not only does Viral have respect and like a kind of a reverence for it, but the fact that also Simon can reciprocate that and be like, "You're also really good,
right? And
I would want you to be here with me."
Just before they embark, Simon says, "You better get ready because this machine packs a punch."
He's like,
and Viral's like, "I know that better than anybody. The fuck are you thinking?"
And dude, that's what I'm talking about. It's that little back and forth. It's so nice. And I think it sets the tone for the rest of these episodes.
Yeah.
For them piloting.
They bring it back.
It's so good.
The fucking monologues they have for the combination sequences, dude, are the best.
It's so good. Yes. So with that being said, Gurren Lagann and the Arc Gurren join together in a massive Arc Gurren Lagann and to try and stop the human annihilation system.
My absolute favorite iteration of Gurren Lagann. The proportions are just perfect for me.
Beautiful. So at this point, you still have Kamina and Viral inside of Gurren Lagann.
Simon and Viral.
So I'm sorry.
Yeah.
My bad.
Right.
My bad. And then they end up merging with Arc Gurren, which is a big ship, and then it turns into
Arc Gurren Lagann,
which is like this even bigger version.
Right.
But the funny thing is like all the other members of the team
right.
get bigger versions of their suits,
dude.
But it still
Space King Kitan is one of my other favorite designs in the show.
It's beautiful.
It looks so good.
But I just love the fact that you have human inside of robot, inside of bigger robot.
Right.
And I'm like, we got Russian nesting dolls of robots.
It's a fucking Matryoshka doll.
I love it. Later it gets 3 levels deep.
Right. Another layer is added.
I love it. But then we learned that the human annihilation system is the moon. But then we learn, and in a really interesting fashion, they try to like push it back, but like 2 very circular eyes and like a kind of like
a jagged smile.
Yeah, like a jack-o'-lantern mouth pops up kind of, and it's like not even, but it's like it's all black against like this gray moon, and it looks
freaky.
It looks traumatizing.
Yeah, not something I want to see in the sky.
Right. And I made the joke it's like Majora's Mask all over again. Like the moon with a face. It's like
I'm coming to get you.
I gotta get you. It's like, oh shit.
No thank you.
Yeah, no thank you. But then they realize from Lorgenum that it's actually
his flagship, the Cathedral Terra.
What a cool name.
Could not think of a better name for a starship.
What a Space Marine ass name. Cathedral Terra is
fucking perfect.
It's so cool. I actually I don't want to say I'm upset. I know that they end up giving it its own naming scheme.
More suited to the team.
Yes, more suited to the team. But someone makes a comment like, it's better than the name Cathedral Terra. And I was like,
well, I don't know. Hold on.
Yeah. I was with you until you started talking like that.
Right.
I'm all for making it like a ubiquitous vibe with all the names.
The Super Galaxy Gurren
is a pretty cool name.
Right.
It matches the scheme, and I'm all for that.
But Cathedral Terra.
But let's not shit on the fact that Cathedral Terra is a pretty badass name for a moon-sized spaceship.
Oh.
Cool. Sound off in the comments if you agree.
Right.
So anyways, this is another really cool moment. They end up Arc Gurren Lagann is holding back the moon a little bit, and they ends up spitting out
Gurren Lagann is now traveling through the innards of this moon to get to the cordial like keyhole in order to take control of the ship again. But not before they're stopped by Nia.
The last minute.
Right. Just right in front of the cordial.
Tip of drill to neck.
Exactly, yeah. Stopped on a fucking dime.
Oh yeah.
Dude has brake control like nobody's business.
Right.
And unfortunately,
oh my god,
Nia has offered up the ultimatum of, in order to activate this thing, you got to get through me.
Yep.
And Viral is like, all right then.
Bet.
Of course, Simon ain't having it. That's his fucking wife.
Exactly.
But not only that, she is comprised of the same material that the Mugan are. So if she is damaged in any way, she's gonna fucking explode
into a bunch of geometric bombs.
Right. So. Rock in a hard place.
Yep.
Thankfully, Nia has somehow managed to hold on to a bit of her humanity.
Yes.
Because Simon just so happens to notice that she's still wearing the ring that he gave her.
I think he noticed this before a little bit.
Right.
But like he could never quite get through to her. But like I think he's able to kind of like logic his way through her talking.
Right.
Because the way she's talking is very much like, you have no hope. All this kind of stuff.
Just a messenger of the anti-spiral.
Right. So like she's saying...
The person you know is gone.
Right. She's saying all that, but I think he's able to kind of see through that a little bit.
He's like, oh, is that right?
But
are you sure?
But then why did you come to like warn me about it? Why didn't you just...
Right. You keep giving me these little heads up
before
all this shit goes to...
And it's almost like you keep giving us trials to make us stronger. Like it's almost like you kind of want us to get better.
Right.
So he's saying all that, and I think you can see the cool thing was with the animation is like whenever she's like in that kind of like anti-spiral form,
her eyes are like glazed over.
Yes.
And just like dead.
And kind of like half open a little bit, but she also talks in kind of a monotonous way and also a very clear, like I don't want to say clear, like in her normal form, she kind of is a more like happy-go-lucky and kind of like
bubbly, super bright,
and also like kind of unaware of some things. But like in this is like very matter of fact,
right?
And not
like a machine,
exactly. And so like whenever she's talking like that, he kind of ends up like kind of getting through to her,
and she starts to stammer a bit.
Oh, just
There's
a little
bit of hesitation there,
right? And this is the part that, honestly, and I'm not even kidding, made me really sad and tear up.
Yeah,
because I try to put myself in that situation as well. Of like, here's a loved one. Here's someone that you really love. Here's someone that he's trying to marry.
Right.
And she keeps talking about how like that person's gone on a dime. One night, coincidentally, after he proposed, the night of, she just was like, that girl you know is no longer. And it's like,
fuck.
Yeah.
Right.
And so it's like, I'm trying to put myself in that mind space of not only like going through all the trials of like potentially getting put to death, being put in prison, now being saved, now being here. Like that's so much to take in as like a human already. But then like in this moment, he makes a comment about how like, I'm going to find where you are and I'm going to save you.
Right.
Because she's like, whenever I'm done collecting data, like I'm going to get taken back to the anti-spiral homeworld. And he's like, well, I'm going to find where that is.
And I'm going to come get you.
I'm going to come get you.
Right.
And then like in an instant, her face.
She just snaps out of it.
And her like soft voice comes back, her less computerized voice. Like
she lights back up.
Oh my God, dude. And it made me so fucking sad.
Yeah.
Because she was like, you promise you'll come back? You mean it? I was like, oh, don't do that to me. Because it's one thing if she's saying it like that person knows no more and it really is just deadpan. And the fact that like she still has the ring is just like a happenstance.
Right.
And she's like,
and then the facade breaks.
And then the facade breaks for just long enough for her to say that. I was like, oh,
yeah.
My heart broke. Where I was like, oh, so you're telling me there's a chance.
Yep.
And that's the part that hurts the most sometimes is the fact that you're like, I don't know if this is ever going to work out.
She even says like the chances of you being successful is like 0.1%. And he says, well, that's about as good as 100% for me.
Yes. And I'm like, man. Oh, dude, after she said that, all it took was her face changing and saying like, you promise you'll come and save me. I was like, oh, I'm about to freaking cry. I was like, damn, dude, that's so, it was such a real and honest moment. And then of course he is like, here we go. Yep. We're about to just,
you better move.
We're about to full send this thing. And he just holds his breath and she ends up moving out the way. So there is a bit of her left in there. Yep. Is what it seems like.
There's hope.
There's hope. But they end up controlling Cathedral Terra.
Oh, yes.
Which ends up morphing into an even bigger ship from a moon. And it's so fun.
Yeah. We get a nice little recovery period.
Yes.
They are able to pull the real moon out of imaginary space.
Love it. Because that makes sense.
Right. And its orbit is now reset to the natural order.
Right.
Now, during this, Rossyu has been coming to grips with his misdeeds and mistakes.
Right.
And he's really fucking feeling it now.
He's sad.
Yeah. So now that everything is back to normal and they're able to build themselves back up again, Rossyu takes a moment to go back to his home village that he grew up in. He even gets to see Father Magin again.
Right.
And they just sit down in front of that old gunman and have a heart-to-heart. And it seems to be going well.
Right.
Like, this is normally the instance in which you'd think, like, having this heart-to-heart would really get him back on the straight and narrow, and he's like, he's going to be okay. But no.
Nope.
No, not quite enough. Father Magin after realizing that the sacred text, like this Bible for all intents and purposes that they used way back when, is full of this indecipherable language that nobody can read.
Right.
After Rossiu spent God knows how long trying to
potentially
figure it out.
7+ years.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And they both get a kick out of it being like practically gibberish that they were holding on to while they were preaching the word of God, quote unquote.
Right. It's all a practical
in their village.
joke.
Right.
Potentially.
Father Magin is able to say that humanity is a interesting and like varied species,
right?
And that it's their eccentricities that make them that make them that way.
Of course, yeah.
And he's like, "Don't you agree?" And he's like, "No, I don't see it that way at all." And then we know, like, okay, something's wrong.
Yeah.
So
he's not.
No, something.
Yeah.
Didn't quite stick the landing on that one like
right.
he should have. So he ends up venturing deeper into like this old gathering area with a bunch of pews everywhere.
Yeah.
And then he starts. He says that sins must be judged and that I must atone.
Yeah.
After he pulls out a pistol, I'm like, oh God.
Oh shit.
So
he got a gat.
Right.
Yeah.
So obviously, Kinon, one of the black siblings, is really fucking worried about him.
Right.
She's had a thing for him for a while now. She bumps into Simone, all worried because he left her a message, like after he wrote.
He left a whole briefing at the very last page. He left her a specific note.
Yeah,
and basically like, saying,
"Whoa, wait. That doesn't sound right."
He's a whole lot of atoning for sins in his note.
Right. So she's already like tripping over herself trying to find him,
thinking of the worst. Because again, that's exactly what's taking place.
Exactly. So she implores Simone to help her find him before something bad happens. And he's just like, okay, hop in Gurren Lagann, we're gonna find his ass.
Yeah, we're gonna find him.
Like, they're able to track what they think is his signal from his little spin driver, which is this really nice looking. It's like really cool blue, like sports car almost.
Yeah.
You don't get to see many shots of it, but there's like a really nice like forward facing shot. It's like, damn.
Yeah.
That's a fucking Ferrari.
That's so cool again.
Yeah. So they end up running into this cargo plane that's been like restoring and returning wildlife to their respective environments.
Yeah.
After they were loaded onto the Ark because it was a fucking Ark.
Exactly.
I mean,
they thought they were all going to die.
They were going to have to just chill out in space for a whole year while the Earth recovers, as if it's going to take just a year.
There's no way.
Right. So that's a dead end.
Yeah.
And they find out through Lord Genome on the Cathedral Terra that they're able to use a spiral teleportation device / technique.
Yeah.
Where if you think about whoever or wherever you want to go, you can go.
Yeah.
By way of teleporting. So they use this to just
go to him.
Right. Gurren Lagann busts out of some random ass wormhole. Rossiu turns around like, what the fuck? Stay back!
He has literally gun to his head.
Right.
Like he turns around and then the look on his face is the most authentic, even if it's Gurren Lagann, the thing you've seen hundreds of times at this point.
The thing that you been a co-pilot of.
Exactly. You are underground and out of a rift in the space-time continuum, it comes ripping out.
Yeah.
Don't care who you are. I would definitely be like, That's exactly what happens. He like turns around and he just has like the biggest eyes of like, oh no, what is happening? I'm atoning for my sins.
Right. Leave me alone. So Simone.
Yeah.
Recounting a similar experience he had.
Of course.
During a very important moment. Decides to do the one thing he knows would really knock some sense into somebody.
And as Gurren Lagann's literally falling out of this portal to its knees, the cockpit opens up.
And he is launched. Motherfucker hits the ground like sliding on the gravel.
Yeah. 2 steps, little jump up.
Right. Screams his name and says, let's see you grit those teeth. And he fucking slugs him. Straight up haymaker.
Beats the shit out of his ass.
Sends him flying.
Love it.
And then he gives him the business.
Yep. Love it.
Fuck are you doing?
Yeah.
You snapped out of it?
Yeah.
You good?
You should get up.
You ever do this again, you can expect to see me.
Yep. I just love the idea. Like he didn't actually say this, but I love the idea of like you punching him, tell him, say grit them teeth, falls down on the ground, and he just looks down at him and says, "Get up."
Yeah. You ain't done.
You ain't done yet. Get up so I can punch you again.
Yeah.
But anyways, it's a really great moment where he's like, "You gotta shake it off. Let's get with it."
Yeah. I need you.
I need you here.
Yeah.
But it's a really interesting moment.
And he snaps him out of it.
Yep. Let's see. Guided by Simon and Nia's feelings for each other, Team Gurren breaks through the dimension in search of the anti-spiral's homeworld. So, Rossy was like left with his little posse of people to like watch after Earth,
charged as the protector of Earth, while all the warriors are away.
Exactly. And it's this beautiful moment where
here's Coco.
Here's the oh my god. Well, hold on, wait, please.
Yeah,
I can't cry yet.
Okay,
hold on. There's this beautiful moment where like they all have a costume change, and
Simon's
is
for this finale is the fucking coolest.
It's so cold how good it is.
Oh yeah.
And then of course in true fashion, here comes Yoko, and it's like, oh my god. I love the fact that like what did I say? Whenever I forgot when we said it. Whenever I think Yoko ends up running up the tree or something like that at the previous episode, and I think I said, "Whoa, Mama, Miss Yomoko, what?"
Yomoko, yeah.
Yomoko. I think you said, "By God, Miss Yomoko." I was like, I love that. And this is another. I was like, man, her fit at the end is truly a spectacle,
right,
for the eyes.
It's something.
I would do anything for Yoko. So, with that being said, there are, what's the old man's name? Coco.
Old Coco. We see a shot of him ironing something, just a big old stretch of cloth on an ironing board during the beginning of one of the episodes.
Yeah.
And
he stops for just a second and puts the iron down and looks forward at this portrait of
Nia and Simon.
And they're both like, it's like a kind of like a candid, like playful thing. And then he just like takes a deep breath and kind of goes back to what he's doing.
Yep.
And we learned like in previous episodes that he is meant to be like
her attendant.
Yes. He cares for her.
Right.
He doesn't say anything. He never has to, but he's always there.
Right.
And he's always like kind of showed up at the right time to really help it all out. And that moment, it was like, again, it was just simple enough and just quiet enough that like this whole action just taking place, it's like you could feel all the emotion and the tension. And I got sad and I was like, oh, that poor guy.
Yeah.
I love him. He's such a great character, even though he's just literally just a side character.
Right.
It's like there's still
who
so
has like
much
one line in the entirety of the series.
It's the same thing that I've talked about with like I won't go on this tangent because I definitely can. But like just the whole first 5 minutes of Up.
Oh yeah.
Is like you don't have to have any dialogue. You have great music and you have great visuals to really tell a story and make us feel something. Music can really, really make a scene like that pop and make it really emotional.
Oh yeah.
And enough context. That's all you need. That's exactly what happened. The music in this, the visuals to give us context of what's going on. You don't need to say any words to just to feel the hurt.
Right.
And I love that.
It
Art.
works.
It's art. It's beautiful.
Right.
So yes, they end up all hop on the ship and they're like, well, now we know how this whole teleportation thing works.
Right. We can use that to get to Nia.
I know for a fact Nia still got that ring and I can sense it and I feel it and I know given enough time we can figure out what the location is.
We go.
And they do. Jump through space-time.
Right. Into the separate dimension.
Yes.
Where a giant hologram of Nia.
Right.
It just is.
Yep.
So.
But it's not her like actual location.
Right. Just
kind of
projection.
what's going on here.
Mm. And then they are greeted by the ominous voice of the anti-spiral.
Mm-hmm. The ever-present.
Right. And this motherfucker is just talking the meanest game known to man. Talking about how futile their efforts are, how they're not going to last anything more than a minute against them, and how powerless they are.
Talking mad
Standard fare for villain types.
Right.
So the obvious solution is to say fuck all that, and we're going to kick your ass anyway.
Of course. As Team Gurren does.
Right. They may run into a few bumps in the road, but ain't nothing going to top that spirit. That fighting spirit.
100%. So it says that, but after falling into the enemy's trap, they end up losing some of their most precious members. And this is a hard episode to watch. This was episode 24, and they didn't quite find where Nia was exactly, and they tried to teleport again, and when they do that, it kind of puts them in the same location. Yeah. So, of course, Lord Genome is like, they have her actual body somewhere else, but we can't. There's a lot of like big brain stuff taking place for a show that like is kind of meant to be like, they don't know all these like big concepts. There's a bunch of like quantum mechanics and like alternate realities and like space-time things.
Mumbo jumbo.
Oh, I mean, like a lot of like really like fun sci-fi concepts. Right. And I just love that like I love the fact that like it's the exposition for that is not long.
Right.
They usually
Liron goes through a few explanations.
Very concise, I will say.
Right. And the you can see the rest of the crew in the background with just like absolutely slack-jawed looks on their faces.
I mean, glazed over.
In one ear, out the other type shit. And so he just heaves a quick sigh, and it puts it in layman's terms.
Yes.
It's hilarious.
It takes the power of love and the human spirit to make it all happen. They're like, well, why didn't you just say that?
Right,
it's
that makes perfect sense.
Let's go!
Right.
Run! That's all
it just works from there.
And I love that. But anyways, I think it's a fun little juxtaposition between like the super science-y talk and primal rage.
Right.
But in this episode, like I said, episode 24, the name of it is called I'll Never Forget This Minute, This Second.
Yeah, dude. Holy fuck.
Oh my God, dude. What a beautiful sequence. They're up against these like hands and feet and faces of like this like presumably anti-spiral fleet. And they're taking them down pretty easily, but then like
as soon as they start to realize how easy this is, shit ramps up. Like they start phase 1 is preliminary shit. Phase 2 starts trying.
Oh yeah.
Like,
right.
Yeah. And they end up getting very quickly overwhelmed. Yeah. Like on multiple fronts. Characters are singled out and like utterly destroyed even.
Yeah.
And it's just one after the other. I think we lose a total of like, what,
1,
5
2, 3,
named
4.
characters?
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Because we lose that trio first.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Iraq, Kid, and I can't remember the other guy's name.
Got the cigarette?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, dude, fucking Jorgen and Balinbo.
Oh.
The 2 big, like, cavemen.
Oh, my God.
My personal favorites.
Yes. But what a way to go out.
Oh, yeah. They sacrifice themselves to save Gimme and Dari.
And I
just huck them back towards the Cathedral Terra. And they just start taking the brunt of an entire assault.
This is another, I don't want to say, it is kind of a trope. This is another trope that I think it even goes all the way back to the original Gundam. You have like a ragtag team of kids that like you kind of get to see them like grow up a little bit.
Right.
Maybe not so much in Gundam, but like sometimes
I'd say that a lot worse happens to them than growing up.
You're right.
In Gundam more often than
not. Yes, but the thing I'm trying to say is like there is a trope sometime in anime with like there are obnoxious children side characters that somehow end up you have younger to middling teen main characters,
Right.
adult,
The old guard.
and there's usually like a couple of obnoxious kids that are like that kind of make their way around. And sometimes they're comedic relief, sometimes that's the kind of trope. But I think very few times, I mean, and I could be wrong, and I could be ignorant to some of the better examples of this, but very few times do you see like those kind of initially obnoxious kid characters like turn out to be interesting middling teenage kids,
right?
And then eventually become like important people. And this is one of those moments.
Oh yeah,
where like they even on Earth, and while they're fighting, they're part of like a
the
kind
Grapple Squadron.
Right, they're part of their
mass-produced gunmen,
and they're doing a good job. They're holding their own. So
Oh,
they used to be children in the same village that Rossy was in,
right?
And now they are like
full-on soldiers,
right? They're still young,
right?
But they're
competent,
exactly. And in this moment where like, what's the girl's name? Dari ends up like getting overwhelmed, and
Gimme goes out to save her. Of course he does.
As of course he does. As of course he should.
Yeah.
And that's whenever our buddies come through and save them.
Yep.
And it's just, and of course they end up, hucking them towards the ship as they just like take the brunt of it and explode in glorious nuclear fashion,
sending them off with a laugh.
Oh yes, scary but very cool.
Oh yeah.
The point that I was saying about all this is like they were little kids that were at the beginning of this show whenever they first came about. Whenever we got to see Rossy, they were going to get sacrificed out in the wilderness, and Rossy kind of took them under his wing,
right? And
have they have been raised with the team. So the fact that they're here now, they're every much a bit of this team as anyone else is.
Oh yeah,
and it's super cool.
Yeah,
and then as the show progresses, we'll touch on their relationship more later, but like again, character development.
Oh yeah,
it's so fun and it's so interesting to see. Even some of our characters now have children with other characters.
Oh yeah.
Oh, buddy. There's a point when they start bringing in these ship-sized bombs.
Oh yeah.
And they try their hardest to like knock them out. They do a good job, but there's one that comes from like the other side of the ship.
Yeah.
What's that guy's name?
Maken.
That
motherfucker got with Lete.
Yes.
He was one of the engineers, like the mechanics.
Yes. Has 2 children with her.
And he just takes it. No questions asked.
He unsheaths his sword and just flies right into it.
Full on charges a missile.
Yep.
And sacrifices himself.
And it's like each time someone is lost, like you can tell that like the team on the bridge feels it. There's like it's a really hard,
almost like a new type sense.
Oh my gosh, dude. And it's hard. Like it's really heavy.
Yeah.
And we get some really interesting, like I think maybe not at this point, but like I'm going to throw it in here anyways. We get some really interesting dialogue about what they mean by like we want the people of the spiral to feel despair.
Absolute despair.
And it's like, this is what we're talking about.
Oh yeah.
And it's like, oh man. And then you really feel it.
Yeah.
So
every time that victory is just about within your grasp, we snatch it away, because that's when your despair reaches its peak.
Ooh, son of a bitch.
Yeah.
So with all that being said, it gets really emotional, and then there's this moment where the reason what was taking place is Arc Gurren is trying to combine with I keep wanting to call it Cathedral
Terra, but the Super Galaxy Gurren.
Right. They're trying to combine with it, and it takes a lot of like spiral energy to make it all happen.
You got to reach a certain threshold of fighting spirit.
And he's trying, and they're doing a great job.
They got him hooked up to the fucking generator.
Yes, exactly.
Just spinning away.
And like so much so that he's like he's breaking drills as he's creating new ones, and they're just like stacking them up like old chipped up and like messed up drills from like he's already gone through 3 of these bitches.
Never like, seen one break before.
Yeah, but here they are, stacking them up like trophies. So So they're trying to combine so they can take down this big ship in front of them, basically, because they need a bigger drill.
And just as soon as they fill up the meter, this sea, quote unquote, like this fucking ocean, forms, and they are sunken down, to the depths. So
it's actually, I think the actual name is called the Ocean of Despair, which is
like Jesus Christ.
Oh my gosh! And they describe it in such a way they're like they have compressed down space so much that it is like almost in a liquid form, which is why they're like, because they're like, why are we
densest possible form?
Why are we sinking in space? And they're like, well,
it would be more accurate to say we're spacing,
right.
And they use that, for the duration
because they weren't. Anyways, we're not flooding. We're spacing.
It's not actually water.
But it
looks
like
that way,
which is they're in like another dimension, and we're
anything goes. I mean,
exactly.
Anti-Spiral could throw a fucking galaxy like like nothing.
Right. We're just here now. So, anyways, they're having a hard time getting out of this.
Right. It drains their energy. They can't use their spiral weapons.
Right. And in a beautiful turn of events, our young two that we keep talking about are like, they want to go out in a blaze of glory.
Right.
And Keaton.
Yeah. Dari is like, Gimme is asking Keaton how he's able to keep going and how he's not afraid, quote unquote. And Keaton's like, "Are you a fucking idiot? Of course I'm afraid.
Yeah.
Who the fuck wouldn't be afraid?"
But they sacrificed themselves because they wanted to.
Right.
And is what it is. And now I want to go hop in here and go try and fight off these goons in the Sea of Despair.
What for?
They end up figuring out that like if they go further and further down in the Sea of Despair, like the energy compresses,
right?
And
as
it
long
basically
as they're able to fire off a spiral energy shot at this shield, it will create enough of an opening that they can just fire a full salvo and take it out.
Right.
Turns out not to be quite so easy.
Yes, there's a lot of pressure being involved, and that's when they're talking about spacing. They're flooding with space inside their
in multiple sections.
So as they're going down, there's this, bruh. Holy shit. There's this beautiful moment where Keaton is like, I got the armor to handle this, and I'm just going to go take it on.
Because they try to fire off a couple of missiles first just to create the opening, and it
crushes.
Imploded
It crushes
before it even gets close enough.
Yeah.
So they're about to like change out the casing for the shell just so it's a little tougher and maybe it'll make it through.
Right.
Keaton's like, nah, don't worry about it. I got this.
Just load one up with me.
Right. But not before Yoko was about to do the same fucking thing.
Yep.
He's like, sorry,
No,
this one's mine,
this
Chief.
is mine. So he ends up taking his suit out there.
The Space King Keaton.
With one of these big old spiral
star
missiles. And he ends up, if I'm not mistaken, he ends up getting it through.
Oh, yeah.
Blasting a hole inside this sphere of whatever it is.
Oh, yeah. He straight up destroys it.
Oh, yeah.
He makes the opening and then finishes it off himself.
Right. Well, that's the thing is like his bombs from his suit won't actually engage because they're being crushed. And, of course, the whole suit ends up getting crushed. And everyone's like, man, why did you end up...
He died for nothing.
Yeah. And then they're like, wait, there's still something happening.
Hold on a second.
And this is...
It's so good, dude.
It's so good.
What a fucking send-off.
Another moment where I got real sad. Because, like, he ends up busting out there. And as he's flying through, he's holding one of the, like, chipped up drills.
He snagged one of Gurren Lagann's drills as a good luck charm.
And he's going in there and he's like, I'm going to give it all I got.
Oh, yeah.
And it's just this really lovely moment where he's like, I'm going to do this for all of us.
Oh, yeah.
And he has
You really think you got what it takes to stop us? It's so fucking good.
As he's holding it, it actually, the drill merges into his hand, and he does his own.
He pulls off his own Giga drill break.
It's so cool. And it blows it up.
Yep.
And they end up getting out of this Sea of Despair. And then, of course, in true fashion, you end up like blasting through with spiral energy.
Oh, yeah.
And merging into...
Super Galaxy Gurren Lagann.
Oh, God. The monologue.
Yeah, dude.
Oh my God, where he's like, nothing in the heavens or the earth can compare.
The dreams of our comrades are etched into its body.
Oh my God.
One machine equal to the gods. Holy fucking shit, dude.
God, dude. It's so badass.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's blowing a hole through that ship thing.
Oh, yeah.
It's beautiful. I'm trying to figure out where we are now, because I think it says that after this whole sequence is whenever
the anti-spiral confronts them again and is like, okay, fine. You want to keep going down this path? Let me show you what's waiting for you at the end.
Yeah.
Huh? And so he reveals to them the supposed final evolution of spiral power and what will happen.
Yeah.
Which is apparently, as a spiral race evolves, all of that power will condense into a galaxy.
Right.
And then as more spiral races begin to pop up, more galaxies are going to start coming together to form a black hole at the center of the universe.
Right.
And reduce it all to nothing.
Right.
Which is what they've dubbed the spiral nemesis.
Mm-hmm.
Now, evidently that shit just will happen.
Right.
Like, it's a foregone conclusion. Simon even comes to realize this, like, innately. Like, Lord Genome even backs it up.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's the truth. But here's something else. Your wife is waiting for you, and you're going to go save her.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
He's like, nah,
yeah, you're right. You know what?
Damn it,
yeah,
you're right.
Fuck it. So immediately it's like, wow, oh God, shit, all right, fine. So his next little trick he pulls out from his hat is to just board the ship directly and put everyone in this dreamlike state.
Which is so interesting.
Yeah.
It's like everyone's having their own like alternate reality, which is really fun and interesting. And also sad.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Gut-wrenching.
Oh my God.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, we'll talk about Viral in a second.
Oh, yeah.
That made me so sad.
Oh, my God.
Oh,
yeah.
Everyone is having like their own different like experiences and kind of alternate realities, like, or even like dreams of what they wish they could have.
Right. Simon is a partner in crime to this version of Kamina, which has found a way to live under the Beastman capital and just steal from the rich and live like kings.
Right.
Kind of underhanded, not something I feel Kamina would do.
Of course.
And
we see that later.
Right.
As he's like groveling at the feet of like the
absolute
forces.
antithesis
opposite
of what this guy was. And we see Yoko is now this famous like bounty hunter.
Yeah.
Fighting crime, saving kids. And we get little those are about the only two we really like get in-depth looks at. Everybody else is just like a little peek at to what they're doing.
Yeah.
I think Viral is the third.
Right.
Like it gets the most amount of screen time. But man,
it's so brief and it's so powerful, especially because you know the implications of like they can't reproduce.
Right. Beastmen can only continue as a species by way of cloning.
Yeah. And the fact that like he's now on Viral is on a farmstead with a beautiful woman, and there's this like young, I think it's a girl, it was like a young child,
a little baby girl,
and he's like kind of like holding her up in the air, and like, you know, she's like laughing, and he's like loving on her, and then like he sees
this motherfucker wants a family.
Dude, it's like, oh, the fact that his dream is to like have a wife and a kid one day is like, oh, it's so freaking sad. It's like, oh man. And then of course like he like, oh, he doesn't say anything really except he sees all the people in their spiral forms.
He immediately realizes,
and he's like,
man, I was having such a sappy dream.
He says, "What a nice dream." Sets his girl down and ends up walking away as like she ends up going to her like dream mother or whatever, and he ends up having a little chuckle, and I'm like, oh, come on, man.
And dude, we gotta talk about how Simon comes to the realization that this is an illusion.
What a great...
It's so fucking good.
The real Kamina ends up showing up and is like, hey, buddy.
Right.
You got your drill, huh?
What happened? He's on the surface. Fake Kamina.
Yeah.
Loser Kamina has apparently gotten them caught by these beastmen like guards or police or what have you.
Right.
And he is begging and scraping to have them spare their lives.
Yeah.
And of course, Simon turns around, hearing the real Kamina call out to him. And he's like having this crisis of like, which one of you?
What's happening?
Yeah. I love that he says, he goes on one of his famous spiels about the name of Team Gurren, known far and wide, talking about their super badass, total masculine leader.
I am the paragon of masculinity.
Right, as if there could be more than one of the mighty Kamina.
Of course. That's very true. Because then at that point, he turns around and then like this fake Kamina like puts his, like almost tries to put his face all the way down and is like saying everything opposite to what Kamini would have said. It's like, don't cause any ruckus. It's like, just submit, just beg and plead, and like, don't fight, don't do nothing.
Right.
And it's like, this ain't common at all.
This is
and Simon's like being pushed down, his nose almost to the dirt, and then he's had enough. He beats the shit out of this.
Throws an uppercut and then a fucking power fist down on this fake
excuse.
Right. And he's like, my drill is the core of my soul.
Yeah. And dude,
the core drill.
I love the fact that like he has nothing in his hand. He's just clenching his fist, and as he turns around, like he opens his hand and his core drill. And bruh, I was like, I made the joke, but it's so true. I was like, you have proven to be the chosen one, and Mjolnir has arrived.
Yeah, dude.
That's exactly what it is. It's like you are now the chosen one. Excalibur pulled out of the stone, and here it is.
Right.
It's like, oh man, I love that. He opens up, and I love the fact that he's also in the same setting where he found Nia, where he's like, it's like the kind of drabby, like rainy vibe. It really feels like a dream of like, you're just like in these like familiar locations that like, but you're like, it's not a familiar turn of events.
Right.
So like the kind of like vault chest thing that Nia was captured in is right there in front of him, that he doesn't have his core drill to unlock. And so like he's like, it's such an interesting kind of trippy scenario.
Yeah.
So whenever he finally has the core drill and opens, and it's just light opening up, and then the sequence is over. It's so cool, dude.
Oh yeah, dude.
I love it. There's also an interesting sequence where like the anti-spiral ends up showing up and like talking mad shit to Lord
on the bridge of the ship
while everyone's having this like vision moment.
Right. Explaining how they're going to be trapped forever and that they're never going to escape.
Right.
And he's talking to Lord Genome about like their previous conflict, how he was defeated, and if the purpose of this entire fiasco was just to come here so that it could be finished off.
Yeah.
And at this moment, Buta,
the
little pigmole sidekick that Simon has had since the beginning of the series,
right,
just charges the motherfucker.
Oh yeah,
and he and Lord Genome are able to output enough spiral energy that Buta is able to utilize that and just evolve himself, into this humanoid form,
right?
Which, of course, we know that has been stated to be the form in which spiral power is able to reach its peak.
Right.
So, because of this, Buta tries his darndest to protect everyone and try to stop the anti-spiral from basically condemning everyone to a sleep they'll never awake from. He unfortunately falls prey to the same trap because he's now cognizant enough to fall victim to it.
Right.
He and Lord Genome, because apparently he's been able to go past the form of a biocomputer and return to his original self. But,
and he's trying to also kind of pay for his transgressions a little bit.
So after Simon and everybody snap themselves out of it, fucking wild, by the way, that you can just say like, this isn't fucking, I'm out of here, see ya.
Right. I think it's also like the spirit of Kamina does that, because I think he's also what kind of causes not only Simon to transition over,
but Yoko as well.
It's beautiful. Yeah, she ends up getting her own core drill, like in a way, from him, and it's just a beautiful sequence. I love that.
And then we cut to where the anti-spiral is basically breaking Nia down and analyzing all the data within.
Right.
And man, this moment is one of my favorites in the show.
Yeah.
Where she's still got the ring on, of course.
Yep.
And as she's just about to like fade away, like in the process of dying for all intents and purposes,
Right.
the ring starts to pulse
Mm-hmm.
with the same sound that a core drill does.
Right.
So she knows right off the fucking bat, like, oh my God.
It's happening.
Right, he's here.
Yeah.
So she points the ring at the anti-spiral, and Gurren Lagann
Ta-da.
materializes.
Yep.
Drill first.
I wouldn't have it any other way.
Right. And he's just fucking there.
Yeah.
Nia saved. It's on now.
Yep.
I'm going to kick your fucking ass.
Yeah.
And oh my God, dude, the drill council. Can we talk about that?
Yeah.
I need somehow to post up anywhere like this.
Yeah.
The kind of entrance I need to happen. It's fantastic.
You need all your best advisors lined up like a hallway down towards you at the center.
The judges?
Yeah, exactly. And you've been condemned to death.
I just love that everybody makes a point to just have an appearance.
Of course.
Arms crossed.
Yeah, posted up like
you don't fucked up now.
Yeah.
It's perfect. So from then on, the final combination sequence begins.
Yes.
Everybody.
Simone, Nia reignited. Mm-hmm. They're all together inside Lagann.
Yeah. Everybody is now a part of this mech.
Yes.
It's almost, you almost couldn't even call it a mech with the way it looks.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's like God form.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
But again, at this point, we're like 3 robots deep.
Right.
Where it's
standing on top of a galaxy.
Literally.
Yeah.
Which is like crazy.
Mm-hmm. I just love the little sequence where it goes through each form that came before. It looks so fucking cool.
It's so good, dude.
Mm-hmm.
What a cool vibe.
Yeah.
There's a beautiful battle sequence because at this point, the anti-spiral's like, fine, I'll fight you in the same form that you want to take.
Right. I'll play your little game.
Yeah. They end up duking it out back and forth, throwing galaxies at each other. And it's bonkers shit.
Just trading blows one after the other.
It's a great fight sequence. And then this is what I'm talking about. Like, this is an anime masterpiece. We're dealing with some like really cool fight sequences, larger than life thing, like some trippy bullshit.
Oh yeah.
And you're like, and we're having fun.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh yeah.
It's the best.
It's beautiful.
At one point, the anti-spiral is able to tear open a hole.
Yeah.
Directly to Earth.
Mm-hmm.
Seemingly unbeknownst to him, it just kind of happened during the fight. And as he notices, he's like, "Oh, is that your home world?
Yeah.
How fascinating!" And he immediately goes for it.
No, and they're like,
right. 2 of the black siblings and the baby.
Yeah.
Just like they're step outside and they see the motherfucker reaching for the planet.
What is that? What is that fear of large things in space? Megalophobia?
I think so.
Or something like that. Like it.
I think megalophobia is just the fear of large things.
Okay. Well, that's probably what I'm thinking of.
But I mean, this definitely applies.
Yeah.
So that's just fucking terrifying.
Yeah. You see the skull horned face,
demon god
visage, like peering down from
no
space.
Fucking thank you.
You're like, nah, dude.
Right. So with everyone's friends and family now being under threat, Dayaka, one of the helmsmen, of like one of Yoko's friends from Littner Village, immediately gets the grapple on the motherfucker and starts swinging him around like you ain't laying a fucking finger on Earth. It's so good.
It's great.
Mm-hmm.
And so again, with this fight continuing and they've all combined, this is the part of the show where I didn't realize there was a diversion.
Right. Yeah.
So I liked the show's conclusion.
Yeah, it's not bad.
Of the fight sequence.
It's good.
But
compared to what we got in the movie though.
Oh my god.
Holy shit.
There's a part where where Super Galaxy Gurren or whatever it's called.
Mm-hmm.
Super Galaxy Gurren Lagann, sorry.
Right.
Please, sorry.
Yeah.
I apologize. Mm-hmm. Turns into like a galactic being.
Right.
Like a weird,
made of pure energy.
Pure blue space energy with the red visor.
The cape
and
too.
The cape. Ah, dude. So badass. Mm-hmm. And they start duking it out because it also, the anti-spiral grows into some sort of other spectral being too.
They match them.
They end up, drilling their way into infinity and beyond, literally. Right. And then they end up like fighting it all out. And there's this beautiful, I truly, and I mean this so deeply.
Mm-hmm.
What a phenomenal fight sequence in the movie.
Oh yeah,
Between
one of the best.
For so many reasons. I could sit here and probably talk for an hour about why I love that fight sequence.
Yeah.
You go from robot inside of robot inside of robot inside of galactic being, fighting, and then eventually being overcome.
Right. One after the other.
In each form.
Each iteration.
Yes.
Just clapping back
until
with another giga-drill.
Until it finally gets to the core version of the robot Gurren Lagann. And then it finally fights back. Or it finally gets the upper hand.
Get close enough to the home world.
And then there's this beautiful sequence where
Viral, upon taking enough damage, like Gurren Lagann is falling apart, he takes Lagann.
Just like the way Simon and Kamina did,
right,
where he ripped his head off with just Lagann and throws him.
Yep.
We've come full circle. We have come full circle to this moment. And again, this took place in the movie, so not the show, but I still want to talk about this because it needs to be talked. It needs to be talked about. We've come full circle. And then as he blasts through, we have now transcended into another dimension. And then just like before, all the times before, Simon comes tumbling out of the cockpit.
Oh, yeah.
Of now, what is kind of the ruin of Lagann.
Lagann on its own, by the way, has thrown Simon toward the anti-spiral. The synchronicity was up to the threshold where the machine is now alive.
Yes.
And acting of its own free will.
And we are now in a beige white void. And we are I love this. All sound, all music has cut. We are now in some ethereal nothingness. And we have our main man is fist fighting the anti-spiral, which already is like a black being with lines all around him,
made of static.
Literally. So he is fighting the void himself, made incarnate.
Yeah.
And it's there's echoey, reverby, echoey, room sound. So it feels, and because there's no music and no nothing else, no Foley work, it's all just it makes it feel so small, even though you're in this void.
Right. It went from fighting in the midst of the universe,
throwing galaxies at each other.
Right. To fighting in some random back room.
Yeah, literally the back rooms.
Right.
Yeah. Fist fighting. And I mean, and the funny thing is, I want to say funny. The interesting thing is he's swinging hard.
Oh yeah, throwing
slow,
hammers.
And so there is every punch is deliberate. And there's a moment where the camera snaps to Nia's perspective from off in the distance, and
nice little callback to whenever he fought Lord Genome.
Yeah, there's this moment again, full freaking circle, dude. But there's the blood that is kind of atomizing in the air.
It's just become a mist.
It's become a red mist in the air as they're punching each other. So it's are we still in space? It's so trippy and fun, and it's and then eventually he ends
They're
up
gearing up for the final blows. Simon starts rattling off my drill is my soul.
Yes.
And he forms a drill over his hand out of the blood that was surrounding him in the air.
Oh, dude. Holy shit.
And then he starts charging the motherfucker.
Again, full circle, just like he did with Lord Genome.
Yep.
Blast through his chest. And like I said before, I want a reaction image of him going making that face. If you haven't looked it up, if you go look up the anti-spiral death pose or whatever, where he has the big hole in his chest, he has just a little triangle mouth with circle eyes, and it is the personification of
it's the best.
I love it. It's perfect.
And after he's been defeated, he's if this is how it must be, then defend the universe at all costs.
Yeah.
He passes the mantle on.
Yep. So cool.
Took a fucking while for you to do that.
It took you literally dying to come to that conclusion.
Right.
In the show, it plays out a little bit differently. he doesn't have like the kind of galaxy ethereal form, but he still kind of takes the actions of like being thrown from Gurren Lagann,
right?
You know, and blasting through. Still just as powerful, but not quite as full circle. On the nose of like, you know, part 1 mirroring part 2 kind of thing, which I think is beautiful. It's so well done. And then that's the conclusion. The credits roll.
Their little pocket dimension collapses.
Yep.
They're back in normal space.
Yep.
And they start receiving like beacons and like calls from other spiral races in the galaxy.
Right.
Just like because apparently they had been privy to their plight.
Yeah.
Fighting against the anti-spiral and are ecstatic.
Right.
To finally be free of this oppressive being that has lorded over them for so long.
Yeah.
And from then on, it's anywhere but down. I mean, they cannot ascend and like, it's perfect. It's everything they've been working.
As I've said numerous times before, this show only builds upon itself. It only gets bigger until the very end.
Oh yeah.
Even till as I've said before, when we watched the movie is even more so because it condenses a lot of it down. Each scene in that movie, compilation movie of all these episodes, it just feels like it gets bigger.
Oh yeah.
Each step is like the next step on this bigger journey until the very end in that fight sequence like I was talking about. I think that's why I loved it so much in the movie, was because like it gets bigger and bigger and bigger until it shrinks down into nothing. No sound, no music, no nothing. Just two beings fist fighting each other.
Yep.
And I'm like, oh, how primal and freaking badass that is.
That's part of why I like the final boss in Metal Gear Solid 4 so much.
Really? I mean, I get that.
Yeah.
I can't take right. Liquid seriously.
Yeah, we'll get there.
We'll get there. I don't think I ever will take him seriously, but that's why it's hard for me to like that fight, because I'm like, bruh, you're just a goofy bastard. But anyways,
right.
So anyways, the credits end up rolling, and then I was like, the funny thing is, in this viewing of it, I thought that that was like the preliminary fight, and then we're gonna get like the actual fight with like the void later.
Right.
So Dylan's like, don't worry, that's not all of it. I was like, okay, cool. The credits finish rolling, and then we get like the end scene credits.
The
like,
epilogue.
Where are they all now? 20 years later. And I'll get into that in a second.
Yeah.
It ends, and I was like, wait, where's my fight? And Dylan's like,
that's not what I was expecting.
Oh, it's not there. And I was like, what do you...
That's the movies.
And I was like, And he's like, you didn't know? And I was like, no, I didn't know. I was hyped. I was ready for it.
Yeah.
But this post-credit scene, 20 years later, what a sad turn of events.
Yep. We get to see the wedding. Everybody's there. Yoko's wearing a fucking suit.
Freaking Coco, it's like making a dress for Nia. It's just this beautiful moment.
Oh yeah.
And like, as they end up saying everything and the kiss ends up happening, she ends up dematerializing.
Yep.
And everyone's shook. Like, what's happening? And he's like, and Simone's like, we knew this was going to happen. And everyone's like, but what do you mean?
Yeah.
And they were like, well, it was bound to happen.
Right.
Because it's kind of like...
Defeating the anti-spiral means that because Nia is a product of the anti-spiral, she's not going to be able to retain her form.
And he was like, it's actually kind of a surprise that she's been able to stick around this long. And it's like, man, that's really sad. Yeah. This is the time skip hasn't happened yet, so this is still like very recent, is what it seems like.
After they've gotten back to Earth,
exactly. Yeah. Maybe even a couple days is what it may seem like, and then this is what I was talking about with what were the kids' names?
Gimme and Dari.
Gimme and Dari. He walks over to Gimme and ends up like shaking his hand and seeming like put something in his hand, and he's like, I need you guys to like. I need you all.
It's all up to you now.
It's all up to you now to keep it going. And it's like, what are you talking about, Simone? He ends up...
I'm retiring.
Yeah, exactly. He grabs his cape and ends up walking away. And then the ring ended up falling at Yoko's feet, so she grabbed the ring and tossed it over to Simon as he was leaving. Yep. And then Gimme ends up looking at his hand, and it's the core drill. Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh, don't tell me, man. So now...
That's the heaviest fucking thing you got right now, son.
Oh, my God, dude. What... Talking about two characters I thought were going to be insignificant, and quite frankly, I thought were going to be obnoxious because they were like the tropey children characters, right, are now filling the space for Simone.
Yep.
And I'm like, and also for Viral, which we'll get to in a second.
Yeah, dude.
And like, oh my God. We get to see, this is when the time skip happens. Mm-hmm. Yoko has gone back out to her island and is now becoming
full-time teacher.
Right. Rossiu is the president of the Galactic Spiral.
He's now going to oversee the Galactic Spiral Peace Conference.
Yes.
Which, like you said, has taken 20 years to put together. He's been communing with these different races, trying to decipher their own languages, figure out how they can meet.
Work together. Yeah. Which is crazy. Mm-hmm. And again, to talk about Viral for a second, we now see that he's like part of the team still, but I love the idea of, again, you talk about full circle. Mm-hmm. You talk about prophecy being fulfilled of like the Spiral King, Lord Genome, made him immortal and told him specifically, I didn't make you immortal to kill humanity. Mm-hmm. I made you immortal so that way you can witness the success of the Spiral King and catalog it for history.
Right.
And here he is all this time later, literally doing that.
Yep.
Of like being on the side of the Spiral, being the person that keeps that.
The storyteller.
I'm like,
dang.
Cinema. It's beautiful.
It's just so
I love that. And then we get this awesome scene where Gimme and them are like standing in front, or standing in front of Gurren Lagann, and I'm like, so
getting ready to move out.
They're both in charge of now. I'm like, oh, dude, how cool is that?
Yeah,
I love that.
It's awesome.
And then there's an interesting moment where we get to see. I get at the beginning of the sequence, Rossi is like, I don't know where he is, but wherever he's roaming, I hope he's,
watching over us.
Exactly. And as all of them are flying off into the heavens, spiraling into space.
Right.
Simone ends up finding a young kid trying to drill his way into a coconut and can't get it. And, he gives him some pointers and that kind of stuff. And he's like, wow, that's really awesome.
Worked. And he's like, of course it worked. Who the hell do you think I... And of course the kid's not paying it. He's just enjoying the coconut juice.
Right.
Now. So he's like, whatever, I guess I'm nobody.
Yeah.
And man, the kid sees like all the Gurren Lagann, which there are now multiple of.
Right.
Going up in space to conduct this peace conference.
Right.
And Simone is just like spouting off this stuff about how the lights in the sky are stars, and that's where our spiral cousins are waiting for us.
Right. Oh, it's so cool. But then, like, the one thing that's interesting for me is we also get to see that his left eye is now like a spiral eye, like the Spiral King.
Right.
And I was like, what does that mean?
I don't know.
His right eye looked normal, but like his left one now like has the spiral now. Yeah. I guess I don't know what that means.
Who knows?
So for me, I started to speculate, and I was like, is he now kind of like the Spiral King of this world / universe?
Yeah.
In a way, like, or does he have the same weight of responsibility?
Maybe.
Because again, we heard there's like a potential for like all the galaxies to merge into like a black hole. It's like speculating, is there a potential where he may have to,
right? Who's to say?
Be the bad guy a little bit? Who knows? Anyways, but it's this interesting moment where you get to see everyone all grown up and doing their thing, and it's like, it's so cool. I love this show so much.
It's amazing, man.
Oh, it's been a long time coming.
Yeah.
And I feel like we did a great job with this episode talking about it.
I like to hope so.
if anybody else has watched this or has not watched this or your feelings on it, I want to know all about it. I want to hear what you got to say. Let me know if you've been enjoying listening to these episodes about us really gushing on a piece of art.
Oh, yeah. One of my personal cornerstones.
This came out in the early 2000s, and it feels like it in a way, with the fun like rock music type vibe, and like even just like the main anthem towards the end, like the row, fight the power. It kind of has like a hip hop type rhythm. It's just,
it's perfect.
It's beautiful.
Yeah,
every bit of this show is fun, and like you said at the beginning of this episode, it is hard to leave this show not feeling empowered, like you could take on the universe.
Oh yeah,
if you just have enough human fighting spirit, you can do anything.
Hard work and guts.
Yeah, exactly. And gritting your teeth and just believing in the you that I believe in. I love that.
Yeah,
it's beautiful. So many great characters in this show. So many great emotional moments that we get to really see take place, and lost friends along the way. And it didn't feel cheap.
Yeah.
And I love that. Great storytelling.
Oh, yeah.
Is there anything else you want to add? Oh, man. By the way.
I feel like, oh, yeah.
By the way, Dylan got this. Dylan got is it a collector's edition? Is that
right. I was able to get the nascent era collector's edition of this series in its entirety.
Yeah.
And it includes everything.
Oh, everything.
The show, the movies, the drama CDs, the music videos, everything.
A cool art book. It's got all kinds of good shit in it.
Oh, yeah. An episode guide. Everything.
And the box itself is like this big square box, and it has the beautiful picture of each iteration of Gurren Lagann in its different forms.
All the main guys.
And all the main guys. Look at all. And even has the Lord Gnome's guy. I didn't realize that. Oh, it's beautiful. It's perfect. Sorry, I wanted to shout that out because I want to talk about it here. It's a beautiful set, and I'm so happy you got it because, man,
too.
That is a valuable asset.
Yeah.
What were you saying? Before I cut you off.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I feel like I pretty much touched on everything I wanted to.
I'm glad. Well, I can almost guarantee this right here is our longest episode to date. And I am happy to say that we have given that rank to Gurren Lagann because I feel like it needed
It's only appropriate.
It's only appropriate. I feel like this has been a beautiful show, and I can't say enough good things about it. So, with all that being said, like I said earlier, if you have or haven't watched it, please let me know. And I just chime in the comments what you think, or any kind of suggestions you have, especially if we like this kind of stuff, what you think we would also like as well. There's a few more things on the list that I want to touch on as far as like movies and shows and things like that. So we got some other things coming. I do think we probably need to take a break from some series like this for the show, because we've done, I think, a couple so far with Bleach and now this one and a couple other ones. So we've done some great shows now, but I want to try and watch some cool movies. So, but yeah, thank you so much for watching. You know how to get in touch with us. We have the comment sections on Spotify or on YouTube. Be sure to subscribe on whatever platform you listen to us on. Give us a like where you can. That would be really appreciated as well. Yeah, you know where to find us. As always, thank you so much for listening. Let me see you grit those teeth. And until next week,
see you.
Bye-bye.